Northeastern Colorado is a no-go zone. A blizzard makes $1 million impact on business when there are only so many ways to get in and out of the state. The anti-abortion group that tried to get Pueblo to ban abortion last night is already working with other cities in Colorado. They'll get sued, and that's the point. Migrants arrive in Colorado asking for jobs, a chance to earn a living. We look at whether the job market here is ready for them. And we'll catch up with the man who spent a career guiding gardeners. Yeah, you can grow that in Colorado. No, that's not going to work. He's saying goodbye to his one-of-a-kind garden on Next. Northeastern Colorado is closed tonight. You can't get there, and if you are there, you can't get out. Denver barely got brushed by the snow, but the plains got buried. Our Mark Salinger went out as far as he could to show us how travel and business just stopped.
Driving today was a bit of a truck wreck. For those who did actually see all the road closed signs in eastern Colorado and didn't just barrel through them, the detour led them here.
I mean, sitting here, I'm not really making money.
You get delayed, that really sets your schedule back.
The truck stop off I-76 near Hudson was full, and yet no one wanted to be here.
I'm headed to Fremont, Nebraska.
Waiting for hours in the parking lot of a Carl's Jr. wasn't Isaac Cocho's plan. He'll lose money because of this storm.
Time is of the essence. When there is backups, when there is delays, road closures, that really does set us back.
I'm trying to head back east to go back home.
Thomas Mack knows that every major road in northeastern Colorado was closed Tuesday. He also knows there's no way around it.
You pretty much got I-70, 25, and 76. And there's probably back ways in that I don't know about it, but those roads are going to be closed longer than what the interstates will be.
I-70 and I-76 were both closed for more than 100 miles. So was nearly every other road between Denver and Kansas. The way Colorado is built, there are no other major interstates that conveniently connect Denver to the rest of the country to the east and west.
The safest thing to do is just to wait and not take any chances or risks because it could get catastrophic.
When there aren't any alternate routes, waiting and obeying those signs is the only option.
It all comes down to Mother Nature.
We saw this play out on a bigger scale back in the summers of 2020 and 2021 when Glenwood Canyon closed down for weeks after a fire and floods in the area. The alternate route for truckers there was to drive all the way up north into Wyoming. There are very few convenient detours when any major interstate shuts down anywhere in Colorado.
And this time of year, there's holiday gifts on those trucks.
Yeah. Exactly. And some people might be getting those a little bit later. It's hard to put an exact price tag on how much something like this costs the state when it comes to commerce. But what I have been told by the association that goes with the truckers is that this will last for several days. It's not something that will end tomorrow.
All right, Mark, thanks for getting us started. Lauren's next on this.
That's right, and as you said just earlier, Denver didn't get too much. DIA officially recording 2 inches of snowfall today, but the majority of that did fall east, and DIA even got that much just because it's east of Denver. So the eastern plains were a mess and continue to be a mess, but right now we're dry in Denver. We're seeing 23 degrees. It feels like 17, though, with winds coming in from the southwest at around 5 miles per hour. But look at this system. This is what's causing all of this commotion. This one low-pressure system is taking over basically the entire continental U.S., and it even spurred a couple tornadoes down in Texas and Oklahoma, and this giant arm just sweeping its way all the way through the northern plains and then cycling around in the northeastern plains of Colorado. So we're going to continue to see the snow falling here through the rest of the evening and into early tomorrow, though the rest of the state has started to dry out. Because of all of the snow and strong winds, we do still have a blizzard warning until midnight. This is where we're going to expect a couple more inches of snowfall, but that's going to be the smaller issue. What we're really looking for is going to be these strong winds that continue on, and that's what blows that snow around, creating those whiteout conditions, which closes those roads there. We do still have a few winter weather advisories that'll be in effect until tomorrow, as well as winter storm warnings until 5 p.m. tomorrow evening for Elkhead and Park Mountains. Outside of that, we have avalanche warnings that'll be in effect for the northern mountain ranges, and we do still have high wind alerts that'll be in effect for central portions of the plains as we go through the next couple of days. We're going to continue to watch for those strong winds across the eastern plains.
Thank you, Lauren. Pueblo is backing out of an abortion ban that certainly would have gotten the city sued. But the conservative activist from Texas, who's behind similar abortion bans at the local level, says he's already talking to other municipalities in Colorado. This is a strategy to get a case rolling all the way to the Supreme Court, where those anti-abortion activists hope that the conservative majority will ban abortion nationwide.
If when one of these ordinances passes in Colorado, if the state of Colorado challenges that ordinance, they're running a great risk because this would be going up the courts.
Mark Lee Dixon goes around the country getting local level abortion bans on the books. By his count, 62 now in cities and towns in several states, many in Texas. Since the repeal of Roe v. Wade, Dixon's based several of his ordinances on a 150-year-old federal law that bans the delivery of supplies used in abortions. That was the basis of the Pueblo ordinance that was tabled without a vote last night after Pueblo's city attorney said it was an invitation to get sued for violating Colorado's new law protecting abortion access. Our legal analyst, Whitney Traylor, says this whole business, this is the game.
It is a very common strategy in the sense that people are trying to get these issues before the court and sometimes ultimately before the Supreme Court or at least any appellate court. Here, the argument for the lawyers is they're going to say, well, we know what the state law says, but we're trying to create new law and we think we have creative ways to approach it.
Colorado's Democratic Attorney General Phil Weiser says his office stands ready to sue any municipality that passes an ordinance that contradicts the state's Reproductive Health Equity Act. One of the first questions asked of the hundreds of migrants to come to Colorado in recent months is, what do you need? Inevitably, the question has been, or the answer's been, we need a place to live, need a job. Our Steve Steger looks at how our job market and our housing market is going to handle hundreds of new arrivals.
The last week has been a reality check, I think, for all the immigrant community and for the people who work with the immigrant community.
600 people have made their way to Denver in the last several months in search of a better life. Today, we got our first look at an emergency shelter housing about a quarter of them.
It was a real effort for many organizations to start mobilizing, but also a reality check that we're not ready yet for that.
Mayra Juarez-Dennis is the executive director of Centro Humanitario, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting immigrant workers.
The reality is that they're coming to stay and start all over.
She spent hours speaking to some of these people housed here, who told her they're escaping unsafe situations in their home country, mainly Venezuela. They told her they want to work and they want to be able to provide for themselves.
We're going to have a plan. Long-term plan, not just an emergency plan when they arrive, but a long-term plan of integration.
Part of that plan will be finding jobs.
Sí hay suficientes empleos, desafortunadamente no cuentan con todo lo que necesitan, todos los requisitos que piden para poderlos emplear.
Marita Cruz also works with Centro Humanitario, meeting with workers. She says often immigrant workers struggle getting simple documentation like an ID.
We need to create this pipeline where we train people to develop even more their talents, and then they can supply this demand from employers in different areas.
As for housing, that's a tougher problem. The market's tight, so she says religious institutions and nonprofits will be key in finding solutions.
If we invest in this housing for now, long term, this workforce is going to become something that is going to be, it's an investment.
Mayra says these folks can't sleep on rec center floors forever, so that housing piece is going to be critical. She says the most important thing anyone working with migrants can do right now is listen. They have to be part of their own solutions or this won't work.
Sure. I mean, it doesn't make sense if people say, oh, I bet you need this, this, and this, and it turns out to not actually be what people want and need.
Which is a natural instinct at a time like this. You see people who need help, you think you know what they need, and so a lot of people just kind of jump into action and give what they think they need. But Mayra says one of the most important things she's done is just to listen to folks. Just have those conversations, and quite often you'll find what folks want is just a better life, and they will do anything they need to do to get it. So you can easily kind of work with them to get to wherever they need to go next.
Including going different places in the Rocky Mountain West, not necessarily Denver.
Absolutely. They may not want to be downtown. They may want to go somewhere where there are opportunities. And so that's all part of that conversation.
Go where folks are wanted and they have that opportunity. Yeah. Steve, thank you. 3 days after Republican Congresswoman Lauren Bobert's call for civility and to take the temperature down in politics, Bobert is now calling for the impeachment of the Secretary of Homeland Security. At a press conference today, Bobert falsely claimed that former President Trump had secured the southern border and that President Biden is allowing a quote-unquote wide open border. The Biden administration was actually blocked by a judge from continuing a Trump-era policy allowing for faster expulsions, so that policy will stop soon. Right now, apprehensions at the southern border are at a record high. Bobert suggested today that the large number of people being stopped at the border and the record number of fentanyl seizures are not successes of enforcement, but actually failures, which warrant impeachment.
More than 14,000 pounds of fentanyl was seized in fiscal year 2022 at our southern border. That is an all-time record high.
Bobert has previously called on the House to impeach President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Bobert presumably meant impeach, but forgot a letter. A bittersweet moment for the owner of Club Q as the president signs off on federal protections for same-sex marriage. Time is running out for Colorado to catch up with air quality standards. The latest plan basically has to start over. 43 years into his career, a professor still loves encouraging growth.
I think it's just the satisfaction of seeing something alive and nurture.
He's headed for retirement with the thanks of gardeners across Colorado who relied on his advice. Next. Today, President Biden signed a bill into law providing federal protections for same-sex marriages. For some Coloradans still grieving from the Club Q shooting, they told us the moment brought mixed emotions. The Respect for Marriage Act requires states to recognize same-sex and interracial marriages performed in other states and provides federal benefits for those couples. Club Q co-owner Matthew Haynes was invited to today's White House ceremony, as well as shooting survivors Michael Anderson and James Slaw. Haynes told us that today's signing is a step in the right direction, but he said that he believes that Republican opposition proves that there's a long way to go.
There were 169 congressmen that voted against it. And in essence, that 169, whereas they're not outwardly voicing hate, they are through their actions.
Haynes and the two survivors will be testifying before Congress tomorrow with their ideas on how to combat the rise in extremist violence that targets the LGBTQ community. The commission in charge of bringing down pollution levels on the Front Range is presenting its proposal in public hearings this week. It hopes to send the plan to the EPA by the end of the week. But parts of the plan, dealing with drilling and fracking, are on hold because the commission's calculations of industry emissions were way off. The state's Air Control Quality Commission says it underestimated emissions from drilling and fracking, underestimated the emissions by nearly half. The commission's going to withdraw that part of the report for now while they recalculate. They plan to ask the EPA to approve the other portions right away. The EPA has said that Colorado's out of compliance with the Clean Air Act and has mandated solutions like switching to reformulated gas. Hey, don't look now, but it has been more than a week since somebody new entered the race for Denver mayor. There are only 23 candidates. The pool of people not running is growing, and we're trying to get to each one of them on Next. Gerardo Munoz says he's too sensitive for a high-pressure role like mayor. Plus, he's already got a great day job. The former Colorado Teacher of the Year works for the Denver public school system. Munoz told us if he was running for mayor, he's a born and raised guy. He says that he would fight for the people who are priced out of living in the city.
To me, it's unconscionable that we have so much development in the city of Denver and, places that are extremely expensive. It's a very hot spot for people coming out of state, and yet we have not figured out good solutions to address homelessness.
Sounds pretty good. I mean, he might want to run. I don't know. Our interviews with some of the 23 people who are running for mayor are on the Next YouTube page. But here's the deal. We want to hear from the rest of you. There will be lots of time to campaign in the new year. If you live in Denver and you are not running for mayor, but you have a topic or suggestion for the next mayor, email us at next@9news.com. A professor responsible for bringing hundreds of new plants to Colorado is ready for something new himself. Kinda.
I hope I'll have more time to garden and take care of my yard. Yeah.
Before he goes, we ask him to show off his project 40 years in the making. That's next. If you want to know what'll grow in Colorado, ask Dr. Jim Klett. He's been teaching classes at CSU's horticulture department since 1980. His last class is this week. In his time at CSU, he also helped transform a garden for testing plant varieties in Colorado. into what's become a tourist destination for Fort Collins.
Well, you just sense a good feeling because you're with plants. After a very stressful day, it's always nice to come in and see plants because they're not going to talk back to you. Here, this is pasque flower. It blooms very early. I'm Jim Klett in the Department of Horticulture and Landscape Architecture. I came in 1980, so I'm finishing my 43rd year being a professor here. Yeah, Lenten flower is the common name. It's a nice shade perennial, and it's evergreen. Over the years in my career, I've seen a lot of things grow and nurture. Before 1980, the Trial Gardens was just a very small garden, maybe with 100 varieties or so. Now we're up to 1,200 or more. It has become one of the top tourist spots during the growing season here in northern Colorado. You can say on a nice Sunday evening in August or July, there's probably 50 to 100 people walking through the garden. It's just a place of beauty here in northern Colorado. Yeah, pasque flower that's coming into bloom. I'm retiring, but I'll still probably have my hand involved in a lot of different things. I hope I'll have more time to garden and take care of my yard. Yeah. I suppose I put priorities on my job and work. It's still probably one of the nicer on the street, put it that way, okay?
Congratulations on your retirement. Personal thanks for the tip on planting blueberries inside a bag of peat moss. It's a good one. Your feedback's next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is an ominous weather warning, short and not sweet at all, telling people that there have been reports that Highway 36 is open to last chance. State Patrol said last chance has no services, and there is no way out. Sounds like the plot of a movie. As we count down to the holidays, we want to mix in a bit of your holiday joy around here. Any favorite memories in photo or video form. This could be new or old from when you were growing up, could be something recent with your kids or grandkids. The only rule is it has to be pure joy. Send them our way and then keep an eye out for them on the air over the next 2 weeks. I have two old favorites that I am adding to the mix here. One of them, I believe, is my second Christmas. This is me and my mom opening Christmas gifts. And then the second is my first holiday spent working at 9 News, that rite of passage for all young journalists when you are stuck at your workplace on Christmas doing anything to amuse yourself. So send those photos and video our way. next@9news.com is the email. We're going to build them into these happy little holiday montages. I have this idea that it's going to be like the beginning and end of Love Actually when all the people are coming together at the airport. It's very sweet. The music's playing. But we want to feature your family, your joy on our air for the next 2 weeks. Feedback tonight from Roger, who says that he spotted a treasure trove of vintage sport jackets at a little shop in Holdridge, Nebraska. Offered to get me some. Most are size 42. Currently a 40. Sure, I'll be a 42 before long. Don't buy me jackets. Please don't do that. I can't accept gifts, but that's very nice. But if you're ever passing through Holdridge, Nebraska, Roger says there's a great store for you there. See you next time.